Look at that. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. That's what that is. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. In today's episode, it's all about the Accusumps, or oil accumulators, if you will. So, they're not very common in Australia. They're pretty popular in the States. Everyone throws them in their old 70s, 60s, 80s muscle cars, or the older boomers. Definitely know about them. Very cool thing. Also known as the poor man's dry sump. This can kind of also pan well with a baffled oil pan, or it could almost completely make up for not having one, because what it has in here is a piston, has oil, compressed air. The piston pushes oil back into the sump when an oil pressure sensor notices an oil loss. So we got this because we'll probably end up running almost a stock oil pan, because once again 1UZ's really hard to find parts for. So we've taken the liberty of getting one of these, put it in the car, and hopefully this will keep us from any oil starvation issues we come across in any of the track or hill climb events we might end up managing to take the car to when it's not just cruising around. So yeah, I'm putting this in the car today. Watch me mount it up, enjoying the video. Standard thing, gonna have two templates coming off the rad support, kind of angle them. Hopefully it's just enough strength in them that it can handle it. I'm gonna have to maybe run some underneath bracing or something like that, but yeah, bang, bang, and I'll cut them out. So there we have it. That is what I've come up with for the moment. I've got to sit it pretty far back for the radiator, and I've got to bias it, you're probably going to notice that, slightly across to the passenger side, because the outlet for the radiator is down there. Annoyingly, I would have centralized it if I could, but I couldn't, so I haven't. So I'm just going to run and use these existing threaded nuts that are welded to the bottom of the rad support there. I'm going to use all of those, drill down into it and see if I can bolt it up that way, and then I'll probably make it look a bit neater and add some extra revisions to it. And of course I'll have to do a strength test to see if it's strong enough, because I might have to add some fins, but that's how that's looking now. Very good. Now we've got the bits of powder coating back, which included the sway bar bracket here. I can now put the sway bar in and double check that my oil accumulator I've got there was clearing it, because I was always worried it was looking really like it wasn't going to work. But luckily the sway bar leans back towards the block, and as you can see I've kind of dummy marked it up there off the lower control arm, the sway bar end link, and that's where it sits, more or less. It's enough of a degree where I've got good clearance on this side that a little bit of moving will be not an issue. So as you can see, it clears it there, and so now it's time to start putting the braided lines together for the oil side, which I've been waiting to do for a long time. So we've got some 200 series speed flow -10 braided line and -10 fittings here. I haven't done any of these before. I've only done the 490 series, so we'll see how we go with this stuff. But I'm excited to have actually plumbed this all up and have another side finished. We've got some speed flow goodies again. Spending absolute bands on speed flow fittings for this car, and I still am only halfway through the amount of fittings and lines I think I need for this. I still got the fuel system to go and probably the AC system, or we might convert to softline stuff, because hardline AC system, nightmare. So check it out. This isn't all of it, but you get the gist. So we've got -16. This stuff is huge. It's like the hose stuff is like, I don't know, 29mm external diameter. Big stuff, mate, big stuff. For comparison, that's a -10. Look at that. You versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. That's what that is. So yeah, I've got a lot of I got this all special coloured anodized natural silver to match the theme that we're going for the bay, because some of these lines will creep inside. So these are all for the water line system that runs blower, interchiller, water pump, reservoir, all that. So I've got stuff to make my reservoir. I'm still waiting on the aluminium to get cut. They decided to take their sweet ass time. But we've got a lid, and we've got 2 weld on bungs that will screw on like that. That's going to go all to the water reservoir, and then other stuff's going to route round to the water pump and whatnot as well. So there's a few other fittings I'll show when the parts come to it, and there's a couple of adapters still that I'm waiting to get down to me for the interchill itself. Some 90° -16 at one end, -12 at the other, so it shrinks and adapts to the interchiller, because that's only got -12 bungs on it. But yeah, exciting speed flow parts. Alright, next part we're mounting up is our water pump. As you can see, it's a heavy boy, 2.2 kilos. This thing doesn't mess around. Couple AN fittings. This water pump itself is a Peerberg CWA 400 water pump. Pretty serious thing. Looks like a turbo. It's pretty cool. Anyway, as I might have mentioned before, back early in the video, it can't be clocked, so this thing could be a bit of a mission to get right mounting, and it's a bit awkward to hold in the right place as you're making a bracket for it, so this could be interesting to see how we go. But it's a serious water pump. You just run the thing on full pelt and it just moves water like hard like a garden hose. This thing really is serious. It's got quite a motor behind it. So, and you can see -16 fittings, so there's a bit of water in that. Yeah, it's going to be pushing it along. I'm interested to see how this performs. Exciting stuff. But yeah, I'll try and put this on the car now. That's the hard bit. And then our water pump, which is what's going to feed the water through the whole system. Sadly, because we're just running out of so much room, it's got to sit there basically. And so I've got to try and come up with a complicated bracket system to hold this in place now. Because sadly, this thing is terribly designed. You can't rotate or clock that in any way. How it sits is how it is. And it's super awkward, because the bit that makes no sense, that's its bracket there, and it's pointing out on the same side. So I don't know where that would mount in whatever car it apparently originally comes in, but it's atrocious for our application. I'm really going to have to get creative with the bracket to make that work. Ooh. Anyway, so that's going to sit there, and that's the basis of all the bits we've got to mount. So that's the water pump sitting there on my custom tape and jack combo to get him in the right spot. I threw the speed flow fitting on that end. See or not see. It's pretty tight in there. I'll probably move it back a smidge. I just had a bit of cardboard up there to see how my mount will go, but I kind of just got to put it in a metal form, start bending it and work it as I go. It's a bit tricky, but that's the gist of where it's going to sit. Yeah. And the other speed flow fitting comes out the bottom there. That's where the inlet is, but you can't really see it. And the way this thing is going to get fed is hopefully successfully, for lucky, gravity fed. So the tank sits up higher, up there. not on there now. And we'll run down in the line and up to the base, and hopefully that's good enough to work, because we're really struggling to find spots to put this thing, so this is as good as I can get at the moment. I'm just hoping also there's wheel clearance. It could get close, but I'm thinking it should just clear. Touch wood. So a bit of fiddling. That's my bracket. Pop it in like that. 2 to that side, 1 to that side. Once again, I'm going to use some riv nuts, drill it out, pop it in, be good to go.
Sounds right. Sound stripe. Sound stripe. Sound stripe. Sound stripe. Sound stripe.
Alright, so she's all mounted up. I'm just going to refine it. I might do a couple reverse brackets back to there to strengthen that up. That's pretty stiff, but that didn't look great. But I'll try and make it a little bit stronger. I might move this up because it's a little bit on the piss. So I'll probably fix that. And then I'm just going to neaten it. But that is on and mounted. As you can see, I've got both my end fittings here. So we're going to run down and around and across and hopefully duck under my power steering there, hopefully. But yeah, she's good. She's in. And there we have it, neatened up. The water pump bracket. So riv nutted in there, can take the whole thing off like the power steering pump. Get this bad boy powder coated black, it'll look really neat. Water pump bolts on, it's got rubber bushes on there which will help. But it's pretty darn tight, looking good. Voiceover Jeffrey here because video Jeffrey is a dingbat and didn't check to see if his mic was working, and it wasn't. So everything I'm saying here I cannot hear, and it's so long ago I can't remember exactly what I said, but I shall try and update on what I've done. So what I'm talking about here is the water tank that we've got for the blower lid and the whole supercharger in general. It's mounting off the bar support, you could call it there, and is kind of replacing the little crash bar that was there. That's going to be unbolted and take its place. And so I've got my filler cap on one side. On the other side I've got my return fitting, and then where I'm pointing there is our feed fitting. So hopefully that shouldn't cause any weird circulation issues because the water's moving from one end of the tank to the other. It's not directly below one another. All that is basically not seen, so it shouldn't really be visible from when the bumper's on the car. It should be pretty neat and out of the way. And this tank will be fabbed up of aluminium, so despite it's going to have 6 kilos of water in there at least, it should be pretty light and at least look pretty, you know, because that's always important. I should also stress that I'm attempting to make this water tank myself, which is very naive, but I do like being that way. Welding aluminium is another art in itself, and I barely have any skill / competency at all with mild steel, so this was quite an endeavour. And so I'm trying my best to get everything figured out, but the tricky thing will be the welding of it, or the assembling of it, or getting my holes right. That's pretty basic stuff, but trying to actually weld it is the tricky bit, and we'll find out how that goes.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Behold the magnificence. So as you see earlier, my aluminium welding no good. Might actually have been the tungsten. I'm going to say that so I don't feel as bad about being pathetic. Had to outsource this to another talented fabricator named Paul, who's an absolute legend, very talented welder and great guy. So looking forward to doing a couple other fabrication things with him in the future because it's other aluminium stuff. So this is the water tank that's going to provide the cooling for the water or the liquid for the supercharger lid blower, the LSA piece, the Harrop piece on the LSA lid, the LSA blower. So we've got our fill cap on this side, our return fitting on that side, and then down the bottom there is our feed fitting that's going to go to the water pump. So I've got some mounting brackets on it, and I'm going to stick it on the car up the front here. It's going to hide in between both vents in the bumper, hella stealth, and holds about 6 litres. I've already filled her up with water. Really good, really good. So let's do it.
Soundstripe. Soundstripe.
Well, hey, this almost, I never brought this up in a previous video, but this is a overflow tank canister for your radiator system. I don't know why I'm explaining that at such a point, like it's hard to know that, but anyway. So it's a chase bays one. Normally they kind of sit right next to the, well, they kind of sit in here actually. They're kind of, yeah, they sit maybe in front of the radiator or beside. No, I can't remember now. The hole I'm thinking about actually I think is for the AC charge fill point. Anyway, but as you can see, we want the bay to be as empty as possible. The only thing I'm letting in the bay out of everything is the oil accumulator, and that's just because that sits at the bottom. There might be issues with that down the future with the sway bar, which I'm waiting to get the sway bar back to find out. I'm yabbering here. Anyway, I've got to find somewhere to put this in amongst all of this. There's almost nowhere. I can't really have it in there because I've got piping I've got to run between the water lines, and then I've got to still run a line back this way or down for the AC and the other way, so that's crowded in there now, so I can't use that real estate. Nowhere really to go in there. On the other side, I was thinking about it, but the overflow port is actually right there basically for the radiator itself, so it'll be a shame to have to run it all the way over there. But the same spot I'd mount it over there was the same spot where I'm probably almost going to mount it here, which is about there, if you can see that with the camera. So there's your access point. Still, this is all no headlights, no worries, but I'm going to probably run it off with this rudimentary cardboarded design bracket off the oil cooler on this side here, and then I'm going to weld a little tab off the side of it. Use the holes they provide with us to mount it like that pretty much. Sit him in there, and that's where that will have to go on the side, so I'll cut that up and try and stick that in there, and that's about the only spot I got left. I've got to keep it pretty far across because I've still got to put the fuse box in there, and this oil line needs to run down that way as well, so I can't have it anywhere in here. I could, but I'd say there's a good chance you could maybe get away with putting it right in the middle, but it's tricky to mount, so given where they've given me, I think that's my best spot to put it, so that's where I'm going to put it, and I'll do that now.
Soundstripe. Sound strap. Sound strap.
Hopefully the lighting's okay there. I could have bent that honestly with hindsight, but I kind of wanted to get the welder back out, so it's running off the oil cooler bracket there. That still mounts to it all fine, and we'll mount up to that. Access to the lid up through there. It's got clearance for the AN fitting here, the 90 or the 120 degree just next to it. Granted, once again, you're in trouble when there's a headlight in there, but that kind of goes to both sides. To do stuff, we kind of need the headlights out. That's what happens when you're trying to tuck and hide stuff. So that's what I got going on there. But she's good, and I'll neaten it up a smidge. But yeah, that'll get powder coated with these brackets and a few others, and that is, apart from the oil accumulator, kind of the last thing I need to mount, which is good because I forgot about it. So happy days.